The smell of burning paper. That is how I discovered my sister had betrayed me. My sister smiled while the old letters burned. She said, "He is gone. You are free." I could not move. I had loved him for 8 years. My family laughed at him. They called him lazy and a loser. He was quiet and jobless for a long time. But I felt a small truth inside me. I knew he had a secret life. Where did he go? Who lied to me? I sat on the marble floor. I held a phone with one unread message. The message said only one name. The secret name that would change everything. I stood and walked to the library. A portrait looked at me from the wall. Someone was coming into the room. I heard a footstep behind the door. I met him at a small cafe. He wore a worn coat and a soft smile. He told small jokes. He fixed my broken watch. He said he had no work. He said he wanted to rest. My family did not like him. They told me to end the match. They laughed at his shoes. My sister said, "He will never bring a fortune." I did not care. I wanted to love. We married in a small room. My father did not come. He said it was a bad match. The neighbors whispered. Still, we were happy in simple days. He cooked in our small kitchen. He read books in the garden. He was kind and calm. At night he walked to the library. He would sit and write letters. I thought he was weak. I thought he was lost. Then he left one morning. He said he had a job to find. He pressed my hand and smiled. I waited. Days passed and he did not call. My mother said he left us. My sister said he ran away with money. I kept his watch. The watch stopped on a cold Tuesday. We had a small funeral for him. I cried for 3 days. Then the house was quiet. My family said the man was gone. I kept his letters in a box. I read them again and again. The letters spoke of a dream and a name I did not know. The name sounded like power. The letters mentioned a mansion, but I thought it was fantasy. The neighbor who knew the truth called one night. He said he saw a man in a black car near the estate. I told no one. The next day my sister began to burn the letters. She burned the papers in the kitchen sink. She smiled when the pages turned to ash. She said, "Now no one will know." I saw the flame and I felt anger. Who lied? Why did he leave? I opened my phone to read the last message again. The message had one line, "Wait. I will come back when the truth is ready." A long silence came. Then a knock sounded at the big door. After the funeral, the family had a dinner in the ballroom. The chandelier shone like a star. They spoke of money and shame. My sister looked proud. She told a joke and everyone laughed. I sat at the end of the table. I kept my hand on the watch that did not tick. The butler poured tea and moved like always. The house felt too large. A car came late that night. A woman in a black dress walked into the hall. She called him Mr. Chairman and she bowed. My heart stopped. My sister laughed and said, "What a show." The woman did not see me at first. She walked past the portrait and looked at me. Her eyes met mine. She placed a card on the table. It had a name and a company. I read the name and I was shocked. It was his name. The woman said, "He is not dead. He is traveling. He wants you to read this." My sister slapped the table. "What game is this?" she said. A camera in the chandelier had been turned on. Lights flashed. The woman spoke words of a new life. She said he had built a fortune in secret. The house gasped. My mother said, "Impossible." The butler's face went pale. My sister cried, but it was anger. The woman left like a queen. She told me to check the study. In the study was a letter and a small key. The key had the same shape as my watch crown. The letter began, "Forgive me. I am gone to hide, to learn, to build truth. I left so our enemies would sleep. Do not trust the family. They burn truth to keep power." The last sentence said, "Wait for the night with the portrait." I felt fear and hope together. The family said I was foolish. They said he had never been real. My sister teased the key like a new toy. She told the lawyer to sell the watch. I stopped them. I held the key tight and I left the ballroom. I walked to the library where the portrait hung. Under the portrait I saw a small door. The key fit. The door opened on a dusty room and a hidden file. The file had a letter of fake death. Someone had written that he died to protect me. Who had written this lie? The page had one line in the corner, "Meet me at midnight in the garden wing." I closed the file and a footstep sounded behind me. Midnight came with a cold wind. I went to the garden wing. The moon made the fountain silver. The garden had hedges and a long path. I held the key and the small file. I felt like a child waiting for a promise. I saw a shadow near the fountain. My heart beat fast. I called his name in a small voice. The shadow moved and I saw his coat. He walked into the moonlight. His face was different. He had a beard and a new look. He was taller than in my memory. I ran to him. He did not run from me. He put his hands on my face and said, "Alina, you should not trust them." I asked, "Why did you leave?" He smiled and said, I had to disappear. I had to build a fortune. They would have stopped me. I had to vanish so I could learn to lead. I felt joy and fear. Then he said, I tested you. I wanted to know who loves us for money and who loves us for us. I thought of the burned letters and my sister's smile. He took my hand and the key warmed. He whispered, I am not the chairman yet. But I am close. Tomorrow I will claim the estate. I cried and I laughed. He said he had made the fake death with a friend. He said the man in the small car was a lawyer. He told me that the secretary who called him Mr. Chairman at the dinner was his agent. He said he had trained for 3 years in a city far away. He learned to run a company. He learned to lead an estate. He said he came back to see the true faces of the family. He wanted to test trust and loyalty. I felt proud but also angry. Why did he make me cry and mourn? He said, I wanted to know who would burn the truth to hold power. I thought of my sister with her flames. He pulled a small ring from his pocket. It was not a ring of jewels. It was a plain ring with a crest. He said, this crest means I am the heir to a chair. Tomorrow I will go to the board. But I want you by my side, the woman who kept the watch. I said, I want truth, not tests. He knelt and asked, will you stand with me when I take the name? I looked at the hedges. I looked at the big house nearby. Steps sounded fast. Someone was coming from the house lights. I grabbed his hand and we ran toward the shadow of the gate. The next day the estate felt different. The portrait in the library looked like a promise. I watched my husband walk into the boardroom. I watched him speak with a calm voice. He spoke of plans and jobs. The family who laughed before sat silent. They could not laugh now. The lawyer read the papers and a new name rose in the air. He had the money and the proof of work. My sister looked at him and then at me. She could not burn what she did not hold. The butler bowed, and I felt a small victory. He did not take revenge with anger. He took power with quiet strength. He gave jobs to workers. He opened the garden to neighbors. He told me he made the fake death to protect me from greedy hands. I said it hurt me. He said he knew. We held each other in the big hall. I learned that truth can hide like a coin in a drawer. I learned that people can change, and people can lie. The lesson I carry is simple: do not judge by small things. A quiet man can hold a great chair. A burned letter can be the last lie before real truth. Trust softly, but keep your own key. In the end, I forgave my family, but I kept the watch. We walked to the ballroom. The chandelier shone. I felt the weight of a new life. I chose him, not the title. The house was mine too now, not for power, but for truth.